It is a Celebrity Friday edition of Jesse and the Jellyman. And joining us on the phone, we have a very special guest from True TV's Hardcore Pawn. We have Seth Gold, and he joins us. New episodes of the show air this Tuesday, starting at 9 p.m. And Seth, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys opening up an invitation, and I could join you this morning.
Yeah. So it's exciting. The pawn world is a world that I know little to nothing about.
Well, it's a scary world, but how you doing, Seth?
If you watch it on Tuesday night, it can be off-putting, but, it's relatively simple. Someone comes in with something, and they use that as collateral. I give them some money, and then they have a certain amount of time to come get their items back. So it's an easy process. It's a lot more complicated on TV.
So give us the lowdown, obviously being from California, about American Jewelry and Loan out there. Obviously it looks like a pretty large facility and quite a staple in Detroit, correct?
Yeah, so I'm fourth generation in the business. My great-grandfather started a place about 20 minutes away from our current location. My dad and his dad were in the business. My dad broke off, started his own little shop, 2,500 square feet, and kept building to the current location that we're at now. And now we house a 50,000 square foot facility with 50 employees, 1,000 customers every day, and a bunch of craziness.
So it sounds to me, 4 generations, it doesn't seem like you had much of a choice getting into the pawn shop business. You need to get in whether you liked it or not for the sake of the family. Is that correct? Or
that couldn't be further from the truth. Actually, I grew up my whole life staying away from the business. I got caught up with the perception and stigma out there of pawn shop, dark, dingy kind of place. Mm-hmm. All my friends' dads were doctors and lawyers, and so I actually never was really here on the weekends. Anytime I was here, it was forced upon me, hey, you have to help us out during the holidays. I went to University of Michigan. I was actually pre-med over there. And my senior year, just as I was finishing up my courses, I was like, I really don't like what I'm doing. So I actually, I called my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, I really don't like what I'm doing. And she's like, just do whatever you want. So my next phone call was to my mom and not even my dad. I'm like, I think I want to get in the business. And my mom, literally, her response back to me was like, what business? No, the family business. I'm telling you, it was a complete shock. And she's like, I think you better call your dad and let him know. So I finished my degree, and next thing you know, I came working here. And so there is some sort of inherent respect that you get from being the boss's kid, but that wears thin if you can't show people you know what you're actually doing. So I started here, ground up, working in the back, moving TVs around, and, now we're at where we're at.
That's quite a story. And, I have the antique mall here, and I have to work with my father. So I'm sure there's several pros and several cons of working with your family, huh?
Well, nobody has your back like family. So through thick and thin, they got your back, and nobody knows how to get under your skin like coming up with working in the business was dynamic that's unexplainable. You work in a family business, not everybody can relate. And now putting the show on top of it, wow, it's maddening sometimes.
Certainly. So I'm sure you've seen a number of things come and go inside the pawn shop, but what is your favorite part of the pawn shop business?
Just the unpredictability about it. You just never know what to expect. So the person coming in with an outdated VCR, literally 1 minute, and then someone coming in with a World Series championship ring the next. It's the unpredictability. You just don't know what's about to walk through that door.
You probably have to know, a lot of stuff about a lot of different stuff, huh?
Yeah, the markets are changing. Obviously, with the advent of the Internet, you can do a little bit more research a little more readily. So the Internet has helped us. However, it has also hurt us because, most of the customers that come in do a little bit of research. And, for instance, they'll go on a website like eBay and see how much things are selling for. And just because someone's asking for that doesn't mean people are actually buying it for that price. And, that's kind of something hard to prove to some of my customers.
Yeah, I've run into that case multiple times where someone tells you what it's worth when you know more about that item than they do, and they will give you a history lesson when, in fact, the truth is the furthest from their information.
Really, just the value of it is how much somebody will pay to get it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much
what the value is.
Period. Above anything else, how much is someone willing to pay for it? And if they're not willing to pay for it, then, well, you know what? Then it's not really worth anything.
Certainly. So that being said, is there any advice you can give to someone who's looking to pawn something, how they can get their best bang for their buck, or what to avoid to both save you and them time?
Be realistic. So most of my customers come in and they need to pay a bill, they need to get food, they need to, survive. And so most of my customers come in with a realistic expectation on how much they need to survive or get whatever they need. So number one, be realistic. Don't be afraid to negotiate. So it's a common theme that I see across the board that people have a hard time negotiating. It's uncomfortable. And if someone's comfortable in negotiation, they're often going to win it, just because there's something to it. There's a science, there's an art. But don't be afraid to ask for a better price. And that doesn't matter if you're going to a pawn shop, if you're going to a retail store, if you're going anywhere. Ask for a better price, because the only thing that someone can tell you is no. At that point, so what? You're going to be in a position.
So, So how long have you been been a part of the business now?
10 years full time.
Jeez Louise.
So you've negotiated a lot.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
Every
That's
day.
your thing. Yeah.
How much do you think you've negotiated since you've started there, dollars wise?
I would say over 10 million for sure.
Good grief.
Jeepers.
That's
sure.
That's like 20 million trips to the Sizzler. That's how I gauge everything.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
There's a car that I just bought for like $67,000. So all over the place.
So best thing, worst thing that you've ever seen coming through the doors?
Yeah, so I'm a huge sports fanatic. So anytime someone comes in with some sports memorabilia, so I had a 1968 Tigers World Series ring come through the store not too long ago.
Oh.
So that was awesome. And a guy came in with a prosthetic eye. So you've seen it all.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
Well, Detroit Tigers, not too bad. I mean, it's not Dodgers stuff, it's not quality stuff.
I agree. We are speaking with Seth Gold of True TV's Hardcore Pawn, and new episodes air this coming Tuesday. We're going to take a break. Can you hang on the line, Seth?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to have more with Seth Gold from Hardcore Pawn coming up next. Make sure you go to hometownstation.com for all the latest and greatest in the Santa Clarita Valley. It is a Celebra Friday.
It is.
On your hometown station.
It truly is.
On Jesse and the Jellyman. And we have Seth Gold of True TV's Hardcore Pawn. And he joins us on the line now. And we've been talking a little bit about pawns. And I wanted to ask you, Seth, there's kind of, I don't know, it's like for me, the thing that you think about when you do pawning is kind of a seedy underbelly. Is there any misconceptions when it comes to pawn stores?
So here, you guys be pawnbrokers for a second. Out of 10 people that do a loan with me, how many do you think come back and get their stuff?
I would assume the majority. I would think 7, 8. I would think maybe half. I don't know.
Is it?
I 2. I don't know.
2. So most people say like 1 or 2, like 10 to 20%. We actually look between 80 to 90% redemption rate.
Really?
And that's a nationwide average. So people come in, they get a short-term loan, they come pay it back with a little bit of interest, and they get their stuff back. So people always think it's like buy low, sell high. Well, if I was buying the stuff, that's exactly what I would look to do. But the problem is I'm not. And the more I loan somebody, the more interest they're going to pay me back. So it kind of goes in a different mode. So if you watch the show, you'll often hear me ask the first question, do you want to get a loan on it or do you want to sell it? And depending on their answer, I go into 2 different modes. It's like there's a science to it.
Wow. I had no idea. It's more of a collateral thing.
Yeah, it would be more of a. So would you get more money selling it or loaning it?
You'd get more money on the spot if you sold it.
Yeah.
But I want to maximize the loan.
Sure.
For you.
Gotcha.
So I think that any successful pawn shop understands that fundamental principle. So there's something to that.
Well, I think also is any successful business or business owner would understand that. I mean, as far as I know, pawn shop is a business. It's not a charity, so you're not just throwing money at people. Yeah, that VCR, here's $1,000. Have a good one. But Right? I mean, you said there is a science, but it's also a business.
You'd be surprised because no one's at a shortage of words when you put yourself on TV on how they think of you. So it's like everybody that walked in, if I gave them an extra $5, well, guess what? I'm going to be out of business really soon.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about being on TV. I think, well, a little bit.
Yeah, you know exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, people are not sheepish. They'll tell you exactly how they feel.
So we see you. You've been on the air for what, 6 seasons, 7 seasons now?
7 seasons are completed. Season 8 starts this Tuesday at 9 p. on True TV.
Wow, Tuesday, is there, so I know, other than your own, Seth, is there any other show that airs on Tuesday nights on True TV that is your favorite?
Yeah, Storage Hunters, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. I'll have to check
You should check that one out.
TV, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So, we've seen you 8 seasons now, filming, going, inside the pawn shop. What does Seth Gold do outside the pawn shop?
There's stuff to do outside the pawn shop? Wow, I didn't realize that.
Well, let me tell you, I'm a guy from L.A. I've never been to Detroit, and the first thing I think about Detroit is no, I'm not bashing your town. I'm not being a jerk, but, you hear these outside.
You're always a jerk.
I'm always a jerk. Yeah. But you hear these outside stories about Detroit just being a wasteland. But that's not the case, correct?
There is no better place to raise a family than the area that I grew up in, and Detroit suburbs, and Detroit in particular. We have all 4 sports teams, huge into college athletics. You get all 4 seasons, although you guys are a little bit hotter than currently in Detroit. 47 is not too far away from where we're at.
Yeah.
Our winter's a little bit harsh, but I'm telling you what, I'm proud to be from Detroit, and there's a lot of great things happening in the city right now.
Good to know.
I'm a big Lions fan, so I'm okay with that.
You're a Lions fan.
I'm a Lions fan. Yeah. I have some friends from Detroit.
You're not a Lions fan.
My son's name is Calvin.
You're a Barry Sanders fan. That's what you are.
That's a Lions fan. What other team did he play for? Oh, that's right. No.
That's true.
Oh, boy. I'm an LA Raiders fan, to be honest. Not an Oakland Raiders, but, So.
I almost bought a Detroit Tigers hat, but then they made it to the World Series, so I didn't want to look like a front runner.
A bandwagoner?
Yeah, I didn't want to look like that, so I didn't buy a Tigers hat. But, Kirk Gibson, he played.
Yeah, exactly. That was a nice home run he had for you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that. 85, they're a really good team. We're getting way off topic here. But obviously you're a sports fan. Is that some of the stuff you like to do outside of the pawning?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime there's a good sporting event in Detroit, I try and make it to. We're really close to all 4 venues, so you can catch me at a Red Wings game, you can catch me at a Lions game, you can catch me at a Pistons game. Pretty much at least once a week if they're playing in Detroit, so I'm there.
So it is a rich sports town, but is there a favorite of yours? I mean, is there a specific Detroit team that is your go-to number one, or do you just love them all the same? Like
No, at University of Michigan, because I'm a grad from there, so that's number one. And then I'm a Lions fan, as crazy as that sounds. Like 0-16, I was there watching it every game.
Yeah.
So it was brutal. But
season tickets are probably pretty cheap, so...
What's that?
Season tickets were probably pretty cheap that year.
At that time they were. Now every year there's such hope and promise because they do have talented players.
Yes.
They just can't put it together every week.
True.
That's true. That is true. Seth, man, we appreciate you coming on. And for those, let's ask this question real quick. For those who have never seen Hardcore Pawn, what can they, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on True TV, what can they look forward to if they're like, oh man, we heard this interview with Seth, what type of stuff can they look forward to on the show?
I think it draws on so many different levels. So number one, if you've ever frequented a pawn shop, you would know what it's like, so you draw some interest that way. And then if you ever worked in a family business, you would know what it's like. And then if you ever brought in some items or have some items at home that someone's bringing in, you can relate to it because we'll give you a fair market value for that item, and we'll give you that information. So I think that there's so many aspects of the show that make it so intriguing to so many people, and that's why it has longevity. And 8 seasons in, and we keep going pretty strong, so we're excited about that.
All right, Hardcore Pawn, Seth Gold. The show airs this Tuesday at 9 p.m. right before.
Yes, my True TV brother.
Right before
the
hunt.
There you go, brother.
Right before the hunt.
Guys.
And go Lions. And I am a Lions fan.
There you go. Thanks.
I am a
Monday
Lions
Night Football.
Yeah. Oh, they're on this Monday.
Yep, against the Ravens. So go Lions.
Yeah, go Lions. All right. Thanks, Seth. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.